Antoine Dupont is back in his house. His house is the top 14 final. He wins this every year, seemingly without fail. Toulouse have been winning this competition consistently for over 5 years now. Like, you're going back some way since that team kind of rose back up and it felt like a huge deal just around the pandemic of Toulouse are back. How cool is this? Toulouse are back. They're really good. They don't have to rely on Toby Flood anymore. And then we've slowly seen this team transform into one. And it's fascinating because I think, like, from the kind of English language point of view, right, Toulouse are so entertaining to watch that you kind of forgive them an awful lot. Where speaking to particularly publishers of this book, so Rugby, What's That, who are French, but like the general consensus,
not that book, not the Maxime Luque book.
Not Andrew Porcel's biography, which we should buy another copy of.
We should.
But the general consensus is like they hate Toulouse. Everyone hates Toulouse. Everyone is really bored of this dominance, particularly in the top 14. And we've seen that slip in Europe, right? Like it's a few years since they last won it. Bordeaux won 2 in a row. La Rochelle had picked up a couple along the way as well. Leinster have lost a bunch of finals. But the top 14 final has been all Toulouse for quite some time now.
They've got such a deep squad as well, which really helps with this. So for context, we're actually recording this before the teams are out. And like with Toulouse, that almost doesn't matter because you just know, like in the back line, like even if, you know, Tomo Ramos might not be fit for this, no worries, Blair Kinghorn comes in there.
Yeah.
And even if he couldn't play, you'd have Juan Cruz Melia playing there, you know, and there's endless...
Ange Capowutso.
And
then you slip into the fact they've got
Matthias Romu.
Yeah, exactly.
Lucien Richard.
Yeah, Richard is like Spain and Belgium starters.
Yeah.
Like, and we have seen Remy and Richard just both come in and absolutely tear it up. In top 14 games.
They have, the absolute deepest squad. Yeah. But when you look at the consistent players in their starting team, so, I mean, the thing is, there's two that share a jersey, right? In Pieter Movaca and Julien Marchand, who are two of the best hookers in the world. Julien Marchand, whilst Movaca's been injured for parts of this season, has risen back to his absolute best.
Yes.
He's one of the best breakdown threats in the world. Certainly, as far as hookers go, he's like second to Malcolm Marks, I'd say, in the men's game for hookers who just like are utter pilferers and is just absolutely everywhere. He's a boulder to tackle, scored a try in the semi-final. And Pieter Movaca, who came back, he's got that starting jersey back, and for the second half last week against Racing, played number 8 and played brilliantly there.
Now, we should mention that Racing game, which was ridiculous. So we were watching the URC final, which took place at the same time, and kind of just seeing live score updates and going, hold on, they're 86-0 up and it only kicked off 4 minutes ago. And then just seeing that and obviously turning over once the other final finished and kind of seeing like the ludicrous nature of it. And Toulouse, by the end of that game, had become slightly ramshackle and slightly all over the place, but in the way that often works for them. And also, you can forgive when your team gets to 71-17, an unprecedented palindromic scoreline that we'll never see in a semi-final again.
Yes, and I don't think they wanted to pull too much out of the hat when they've got, you know, at that point they were in the final.
Watching that game back as well, I think you've got a sense that Toulouse did start pulling back an awful lot, right? So Dupont, Willis, a lot of their key players all came off around 50 minutes.
Yeah.
Once they'd settled in and they'd gone, well, there's very little chance that Racing are going to come back, and even if they do, it's not going to be enough. And I say they've not got a deep enough squad to pull it out from there. Where Montpellier, on the other hand, have a reasonably deep squad, but they've recruited, I think, in really smart areas. So they have a lot of very good second rows, a lot of very good, like, nuggety forwards. Their back line, they have like very decent depth there, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it feels like what they've built, and I think it's quite a smartly put together team, versus where they were a few years ago, right? Where they were just signing mercenaries and they were signing any lads that were available and they're bringing them in. I feel like what Montpellier built is a team in which basically the positions in which they have depth, and they've really prioritised this, and they've gone, maybe we'll have a worse starting winger, but we'll have 3 really good second rows or 3 really good hookers, are the positions in which you pick up most injuries.
Yeah.
So you've always got depth, you can always bring someone in. And also they're the positions that tire the most on the field. So you can bring British and Irish Lion, legend Adam Beard, off the bench.
That's it.
In that second half.
The MHR kind of mantra is to tire out the opposition and to just break you down bit by bit and kind of demoralise you. So the game last week, it was kind of hilarious that, you know, you would see like Stad would come up with this moment of magic and they string together like 9 passes and scored the most beautiful try you've ever seen. And it's like, okay, cool, they've got 5 points out of that. Montpellier do a good maul, Stad collapse it. And then there's that coach on the sideline going, toi, toi, constantly all day. And subs like, can I come on yet, please, coach? Like, no, toi, just all day long. And they were kicking the 3 points really smartly. And I kind of love, in the age of knockout rugby being mental, a team that just plays knockout rugby in the old school proper way.
There's something that I find really interesting about the top 14 in general at the minute, that it is the best league in the world, and by a margin I think a lot of people who aren't watching it regularly don't quite understand. I think when I saw a lot of like, well, would the Hurricanes beat Bordeaux or Toulouse conversation after Super Rugby, and this Hurricanes team are incredible. They are phenomenal. But I don't think people quite appreciate the distance between the top 14 and every other league in the world.
Yeah, and maybe the Hurricanes would beat them.
I think the Hurricanes, they've got a very, very good chance against Northampton. They've got a very, very good chance against Leinster. But I think the top French teams right now, yes, there may be a one-off game you might win them in, but if you play that game 5 times, the vast majority of the top 14 teams,
but also,
they are so far ahead of any other club team at the minute.
I don't think that's a metric on which you can base what the best league is. Yeah, you know, which bases what the best team is.
Yeah, well, because Leinster are right in that conversation, right? But then, like, necessarily are the Dragons and Zebra as good as, you know, Montauban.
Yeah. I think that says more about how good the Canes are rather than...
Sure.
And like Super Rugby's in a great place.
Super Rugby's been great. I don't mean this as like... My point was only... The top French teams are kind of in a league of their own at the minute. And it's really interesting, therefore, that the rest of rugby is currently in, and we keep making this point on the channel, the most attacking phase it's ever been in.
Yeah.
There are currently, and I've mentioned this a few times, but like, there's another project I can't talk about yet. They've been doing a lot of research on the history of the game and going over, like, literally going, like...
Your stand-up sets,
I've been going over, like... seasons from 1930s and 1980s, like checking how many tries were scored in each game in every competition, and there's never been anything like right now. Like we are the distance by which we're seeing more and more tries is astonishing. Like the record, the most tries ever scored in a Premiership kind of like English top flight season, most average per game before this year or before like 2 or 3 years ago was 5.8. Right, tries per game. That's now gone up to 8.6 this season. Like, and we're seeing that in every other league in the world. The top 14 is not quite following suit. We have seen this Toulouse team have broken the record for the most points scored in the top 14 season, and we have seen more tries just about than previous years. I think it's actually might finish slightly below last year. I can't quite remember off the top of my head, but it's similar anyway. But what we're also seeing is a league in which goal kicking is still in vogue. You've got teams that are reaching the top of the table by kicking lots of points. We're also seeing it being more forward-oriented than a lot of other leagues. And I think a part of that is the top 14 is closer to the test standard. And there's more pressure on every individual game. So therefore, you do naturally see the handful more penalty goals that we saw in the Six Nations than we're seeing in the URC or Prem or Super Rugby. But it leaves it in a really interesting place for the final. Because all of the other finals, and the Prem final was great, but still fits this kind of category. All the other finals this year have been very open games.
Yeah.
They've had a lot of space, and even though the Prem final, like a lot of those had great moments of scramble defence to shut it down, we've still seen a lot of very open play. And I suspect, look, I think there's a very good chance that Toulouse run away with this, as they did against Bordeaux 2 years ago. But I also think there's a very good chance we see the cagiest of all the finals.
I think in profile, this is kind of similar to the Northampton Exeter, isn't it?
Yeah.
That you've got one team who they kick a lot so they can open up attacking opportunities and really loosen up the opposition.
Yeah.
And another one who tire you out, who are just bludgeoning constantly. And that's the thing with MHR is like, I want to kind of talk about their bench and some of the players they've got there, or certainly going off last week. So Christopher Tolofua, who is a great player, has been around the block. He picked up a few caps for France when he was like really, really young, spent a bit of time in the Prem with Saracens, and he's gone back. He's kind of bounced around the top 14 a little bit, but he's such a like dynamic hooker, you know, who can play flanker as well. Quite similar to Mo Vaca in a way. I think he's a bit heavier than Mo Vaca, but you know, similar-ish in profile. You've got Adam Beard, who's obviously the line-out and maul expert, who, if they're in a game with 30 minutes to go, you bring him on early in the second half and you see what he can do. You've got Alexander Massenbacher.
Also kind of great leadership option as well.
Yeah.
I think about the Challenge Cup semi-final against the Dragons, right?
Yeah, he was brilliant.
Yeah, he was absolutely outstanding. But all game long was like, I forgot the name of the young nine they had in, but like it was a young nine who's played a handful of games, 20s. Apologies, I haven't remembered
this
his name.
guy.
Yeah, that guy on screen. But he was just wanting to take quick taps all day, and Beard was literally just like grabbing him by the shirt and be like, no, we're in a semi-final, calm this down. And he really like took it by like the scruff of the neck as much as second row can do.
Yes. So yeah, Adam Beard, Alexander Massenbacher, the Scottish Fijian style hybrid player who's
been great for them.
Yeah, he's a really good player, really good ball carrier and offloader. The two other guys in the backs. So Leo Colley, who is a really just experienced player, can play 15 or 10, has a massive left boot on him. And
he's a 9 at a push.
Yeah, can do whatever, but like a really good game manager, good guy to have in a final.
Yeah.
And Justo Picardo, who, Argentine centre, has really come into his own in the last 12 months, has been, like, he's an unbelievable ball carrier, but he has soft hands as well.
He was a great pickup for them. They got him right before he made his test debut, and probably got him a bargain price versus what he would have been if they signed him a few months later, once he played for Argentina and really shown the world what he can do. Because he's a massive guy, but as I say, got really soft hands and really great vision as well.
And in the world where Montpellier closed this down and they turned this into a really cagey, like 9-10 game with 10 minutes to go, those are guys that can finish the job. But the people that are put in that position, you've got the halfbacks, Ali Price and Domingo Miotti, who are two experienced knockout rugby players.
Worth noting as well, if there's two Argentine lads in Miotti as well, in that Montpellier team. Toulouse, it looks like, again, we're recording this before the teams are out, but it looks like Santiago Chocobares, Argentine starting centre, one of the best players in the world, looks like he's picked up a knock and he's going to miss this game, which would be a huge loss, because you've not only lost a really experienced and great defensive centre who also knows their attack inside out, but also someone who knows the 10 he's playing with and knows his opposite number inside out, having played with both of them for Argentina. So you're losing that as well, that kind of experience there.
Yeah, so with Miotti, had a very, very good semi-final. Was exceptional in the Champions Cup final as well, the Challenge Cup rather final, to see that out. The assist he gives for that Tom Banks try is lovely. The way Banks really disguises his line for the last minute. I think the Stad defenders almost don't see him coming. And Miotti goes all the way to the line because he just sees that Stad are playing a bit of a drift defence, takes it to the line, and he turns it from a little lift pass into an offload instead, and he gets in behind. It's just really intelligent play
Tom
from
Banks
Miotti.
is also having a hell of a season.
Yeah.
Successfully keeping Stuart Hogg out of the team, as are Stuart Hogg's very technical activities, also making him quite difficult to select. But he was a guy who I always, when he was in Super Rugby and in his handful of Wallaby caps, always wondered why he wasn't getting more. He's a proper fullback, hits a great line, but has been added a real dimension to this Montpellier team, who have been quite, I'm not going to say one-dimensional, but like they have a focus on their game, right?
Yes.
And guys like him, guys like Miotti, have added something more, as has Ali Price, who formerly, obviously, in another life, was a quick tap addict who loved like playing with real pace. And as he's got older, he's added more and more to his game and settled down a little bit.
In the top 14, he's just a proper kicking, experience level 9. And I love that he's got that.
He's kind of become Ben White.
I think he's playing to the pack that he has in front of him, though. Because you look at, again, like Tyler Duguid, who is such a workhorse, but also like a massive lad.
He's brilliant,
And the guy who I think adds a bit of stardust in that pack, somebody we're both big fans of, Lenny Nushi on the back row, who is just exceptional. Like, he's really quick. He plays like a sevens player almost, but also he does do the hard graft stuff that you expect of him.
Every time I watch Lenny Nushi play, I think this is a guy who should have come through sort of 10, 15 years ago and been the best player in that team alongside Guillem Garrado. Like, that's the vibe I get off him. Like, he has kind of like Fidem energy of like, fine, okay, I'll do this. Except he's now playing in, whenever he plays France, which has been, he just picked a handful of caps, and then for this Montpellier team, now that they're working much better than they were maybe 18 months ago. So he's a brilliant, brilliant player. This is a pack that goes in with a real template of how they want to play, right? Because, as we mentioned, this is their second final of the year. Montpellier made and won the Challenge Cup final, and in that, they absolutely slaughtered an Ulster team who were only minor outsiders for that game. Like, it was fairly up in the air, maybe 60-40 in Montpellier's favour going in, also playing really well. And Montpellier literally went, well, our one area that we're better in, we are 1,000 times better, and really leveraged it. And they absolutely slaughtered Ulster through just keeping it tight. And through having total patience to their game. And I think it's something that kind of comes from having a good team of good players who are experienced, and most of these guys have played international rugby and have won either at that level or one other level domestically. Obviously, it's not that long since Montpellier last won this league. It's, 5 or 6 years? However, the thing that comes with this, right, is if your team was really underperforming, as Montpellier were, for sort of 2 or 3 years now, where they were in the Challenge Cup, they were missing out on the playoffs every year, what you learn from that is to stick to a process, right? Yeah. If this process is working, then we will stick to it. And I think Montpellier are one of the best teams in club rugby right now at understanding and trusting the process. You made the comparison to Exeter earlier, who I think are very much the same. But instead of it being like extra high phase count, Montpellier are just straight up body blows.
Yes.
It's like there's a Razzie Erasmus clip from the, I forget it was the 2023 World Cup, when he talks about the idea of, from one of the Chasing the Suns, about the idea of death by 1,000 cuts. And he goes, what if instead of death by 1,000 cuts, we just went body blow, body blow, body blow. And every other team in rugby wants to death by 1,000 cuts you. We're just going to go for one limb at a time and slowly disable them completely. And that's very much Montpellier's approach. However, I do think this Toulouse pack are big and physical enough to withstand them.
It's very true. Like, I can talk about, they've got Big Billy Vanapola on great form. They've got Tyler Dugan. They've got Mohamed Awas. They've got all these big units, right? You look at Toulouse, Julien Marchand, Mane Meafu, Jack Willis.
Thibaut Flamand.
You've got immovable players.
Across the pack. And the thing is, right, Montpellier were able to do that to Ulster because Ulster have a pack that's built around dynamism and built around speed of ball and built around getting them in dynamic positions and then being able to lift little passes and give passes and run around, do little chirps down the wing, whatever. Instead, right, Toulouse's pack is built to do both.
Yes.
They are much more physical and much more all-court. This is the thing I'm saying about the top 14, right? Is you're getting more and more of that.
The Mane Meafu try from the semi-final, where it's the greatest under-13s move of all time. If you coach under-13s, get to this move in your team immediately.
Preferably if you're an under-13s team with Mane Meafu in there.
Yeah. If you've got one massive lad, I need to make that very clear.
Mane Meafu.
Yes. A fake wall move, and then instead just peel away and go lol prank and give it to Mane Meafu, who crashes over from 5 metres out. How do you stop that?
Yeah.
It's genuinely hilarious. I absolutely love it.
Because the thing is, Toulouse play this really exciting rugby, but they have everything in there. And when we've seen them undone, it's generally been by teams who can play faster than them. And I don't think Montpellier are that. I think they're very used to being the team that sets the tempo. And if someone else drags them down to their level, they can still manage that. Where if someone else goes above them, as Bordeaux have done a couple of times in Europe, that's when they struggle.
That's it. There's 1,000 ways to play rugby, and not many of them are better off slow, And sometimes you can get away with being, as you mentioned, a team who kind of drags somebody onto your level.
Yeah.
And I think Montpellier are, if anybody is built to do that to Toulouse, it's probably them. But you think of the way Toulouse play, it is so expansive. You've got moments like the Dupont try from the semi-final, where, just because in that one instance, Racing don't have their kind of ABC defence out from the ruck fully set. They just have B there. They force him to move. Dupont does the behind-the-back pass. They do a few offloads. Dupont scores, right? Just moments like that where you fall asleep. Or the Gorg try, for instance, where, and this is something Toulouse do all the time because they've got so many playmakers in their back line, they double load the boot. So they have one hit runner and 2 boot runners. And so, as a defence, you look at that and you overdrift. You go we've got a corner flag. We've got to really help our winger out or stitch him up. And instead they hit the front door with Gorg running that short line who runs it in under the sticks. And I think the thing with Toulouse is they have obviously a massive pack and so many playmakers and finishers in that back line that they can load you up with possibilities of things that you have to mark.
Yeah.
And Montpellier need to stay switched on for the entire game if they are to drag them onto this level.
And we have only mentioned him slightly, but Dupont was absolutely purring in that semi-final. And he is someone who, and this is the thing that I think when people talk about whatever people say about Dupont, he is someone who can execute basically any option from the scrum half position. You don't need to hit a 10 in order to send the cross kick. You don't need to hit the 10 in order to throw a long pass. You don't need to hit a pod who then plays out the back in order to buy the time. Dupont can kind of deliver all of it from 9 when he's playing well, and he usually is playing well, even if people are regarding him playing pretty well as atrocious.
Yes.
But what we saw in the semi-final was like that first try, right? It's one of the most absurd bits of rugby you'll ever see from an individual player. The way in which he crabs out, he waits until the absolute split second that the defender turns and looks at him, at which point he sends the pass, they have the break, he's pulled to ground, and he looks at one glance and hits it pinpoint onto the other side of the field with a cross kick. That is literally impossible to defend because he's pulling you left, right and centre. And you then throw in so many other players who are able to execute in the same way. Obviously the Intermax of the world, but also the forwards. Yes. So many of their forwards are so skillful and so capable of coming in and throwing those long passes. Flamand we all know because he, I think, once played like number
fullback.
12 for, who was it, like
Long
like,
Eaton or something.
Yeah, like I think Leicester University,
de
Montfort. But like, you know, Malvac is able to do that. Yeah. Cyril Bay is able to do that. Francois Crowe secretly is able to do that, and he doesn't want anyone to know this.
No, he doesn't like touching the ball.
But he can.
Also on the Dupont point, like even if he doesn't do anything flashy, you look at like the England game in the Six Nations was one of the best games I've ever seen him play because he saw that England were going really hard after him and let his pass selection do the talking, you know? And I think that's just like so clever, like as a way of playing the game. And I could see that being the way that this goes because like you think of like games like Sarries and Glasgow earlier in the season where someone's really gone after it. Yeah. And like, I mean, like people will over exaggerate like how badly he played in those. And the Sarries was far from his best.
Rugby gave him 6 out of 10 for that England game.
Yeah. And that England game, that's ridiculous because like they had to keep him on, even though they had Baptiste Saran, who was coming on and improving performances throughout the Six Nations. But Dupont had to stay on for the 80 minutes for that because his pass selection was the reason why they were scoring so many tries and his kicking. But I could totally see that being the case. That Montpellier, with their massive pack of bullies, because that's what they're good at, is they're good at bullying halfbacks, it's got them this far, and it's like nobody's figured out how to stop a rugby team who's really good at bullying a 9 and a 10 yet. Like there is no way around it. And so what he can then do is just strip it back and just go like, right, Roman, you take charge. Blair, you take charge.
Like that Racing game, right? They were like 40 points up and he was going into counter-ruck opposition forwards. What scrum half in the world is doing that? Yeah. And you then throw in on top of that the fact that he is the best defensive 9 in the world. He's the best kicking 9 in the world. The second best kicking 9 in the world is him off his left foot. Yes. Like, he is absurd in all the areas that contribute to tight rugby. And one of the best performances he ever put in was a game in which he didn't create or score any tries, was the Champions Cup final a few years against Leinster in Tottenham. And look, I know we've gone about Dupont a lot, and this final, the thing is, right, I think there's a very good chance that Toulouse run away with it, similar to the Bordeaux game.
That's it.
And yet I also think you're probably looking at a tighter game. That is what Montpellier are looking to do. Is probably just like really grind them down, really attack this.
I'm a complete Toulouse sycophant year round, but I would love to see this be a proper final. Yeah. I'd love to see Montpellier like really stretch them and test them.
You want some drama, don't you?
Yeah, 100%. And I do think that like in a way, this is the most exciting final the top 14 could have been. Yeah. Even if it was Bordeaux in there, it's like, both teams are going to score 90 tries. Like, and it's going to be
You've got
a
real contrast. You've got also this weird thing of like, I think a lot of French fans are probably in this place of, you've got Montpellier, who are objectively the bad guys. Full of prison escapes. Yeah. And you've got Toulouse, who have won it 18 billion times, and you're like, do we just want some drama? So you've got an added layer of like, not quite knowing what to do and who to cheer for. I'm looking forward to it. It is, late night Premier Sports. I think it's an 8 p.m. kickoff UK time, 9 p.m. in France. It's on. Please have a look where else is going on. There's all sorts happening. I'm looking forward to it.
It should be rugby.